I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for another BDSM United podcast. Oftentimes, we talk about how to meet people and we use a word vetting. What's that mean? Vetting means making sure they are who they say they are and doing your best to make sure that they're safe. It's an old school practice in BDSM that gets ignored too often in today's meet online first world. Before you get kinky with someone for the first time, before you meet that person in real life for the first time outside of a public event, do your homework on who this person is instead of just taking their word for it. Here are a few tips today to get you started. This isn't everything, but this should give you a pretty good idea of how to begin to check a person out. Check their online profile. This works even if you met online first. Scroll through their social media profiles. What, if anything, do they say about themselves? Do they interact with people in ways that make you feel comfortable? Are they saying things that make you uncomfortable or go against your own morals or ethics or boundaries? Who the hell are they online? Don't ignore negative feelings either. Yes, we may need a full context to understand conversations, but don't shrug off the things that ripple in the wind like gigantic ass red flags either. This potential partner may not know it, but their online profile tells you who they are. Believe what you see. Talk to past partners. This one can be the hardest to do, especially if you've only met online. But if you can, we highly recommend talking to a person's past partners. If you meet someone in your local community, you can oftentimes ask around. Some kinksters are old school enough to offer up past partners as references. And if you knew each other online before getting together, it might be worth reaching out to their former partners online respectfully, just to ask what they were like as a partner before the breakup. But don't be afraid to ask if they have references. Tell them you want to make sure they're safe to play with. If they reject that, it might be the information that you need about them. Yes, of course, past partners can say whatever they want. But if multiple people, sometimes who don't know each other, tell you the same thing, good or bad, it's important to pay attention to. Ask about their local community involvement. Now, not everyone is active in their in real life BDSM community in their local city or region, but if they are, ask what groups they belong to. Ask which munches they go to in what cities or what events in their city if it's large enough, and whether they're a member of any club. At that point, find those groups on FetLife. Most of them will be there. And start asking around. Ask the host first. If no one in any of these groups has ever heard of them or seen them, you may be you may be being fed a bunch of lies. Those same people may be able to vouch for this person or send you their past partners or send you to their past partners for further information. It's not a deal breaker if a potential partner isn't involved in their local community. But if they are, those are important sources of information that you'll want to use to learn more. Importantly, pay attention to actions, behaviors, and look for patterns. Anyone can say the right thing. Some DOMs and even subs pay attention to what other kinksters say to learn the language of BDSM and repeat it at anyone who will listen. Words aren't completely unimportant, but that shouldn't be your main source of information. It's not what someone says that matters as much as what they do. If their actions don't match their words, that's often a very bad sign. And yes, anyone can fuck up once or twice. So that's why it's important to look at patterns. Some people are smart enough not to do the same thing twice. But if you're consistently dealing with an oops, I forgot, or oh my bad kind of thing, that's a pattern, even when their behavior is completely different each time. Meet in public first. Don't meet in private. Don't meet in a hotel room. Don't meet in a secluded spot. Also, a bonus tip, make sure you're setting up a safe call. You can search in the archives here to find information on safe calls. Basically, it's a trusted friend that is going to call you at a certain time during your date or during your meetup, and you're expected to answer. And they're going to ask you a question, and if you're unsafe, you're expected to answer in a certain way, and if you're safe, you're answered to answer in a different way, not a yes or no. For the first meetup, start at a restaurant, a coffee shop. We recommend a BDSM munch or the local BDSM dungeon, somewhere that isn't their home or yours. Somewhere specifically, if there's someone there who knows the lifestyle, who can help you do the vetting and can tell you whether somebody appears creepier than normal. A good way to weed out the fakes is how quickly they decline the invite to meet in public. In a vanilla setting, doing this keeps you safe and it makes it easier to get away if you decide not to continue the date. The secondary tip is to set up a safe call that's letting someone someone you trust, know that you're meeting someone new and where. They don't have to know it's for a kinky date, just that you're meeting someone new. Give them a time when you'll call and a time to check in with you if you forgot. And if they don't hear from you, they need to call the police and let them know where you should be. Even if it's just for what they call a welfare check. A safe and experienced kinkster may tell you to do this anyways, which is also a really good thing. But it's important that the person you're meeting with not negatively react to the idea of a safe call. If they do, you probably want to get out of there quickly. That is just a very basic overview to vetting. One of the best tools for vetting is FetLife. The reason why it's important to have a FetLife, a lot of times people will shy away from FetLife for whatever variety of reasons. Maybe they're not being successful in using FetLife, but it's important to have and maintain a presence, even if you don't use it all the time, because you can search anyone's activity feed. You can see what they have done, how they have identified in the past. They can see who you are and how you have identified in the past. If you say that you've always been a dominant, but you identified in FetLife at some point as a submissive seeking a mistress and posted a bunch of personal ads, they can see those things in the activity feed. Consistency is key. You want to make sure that someone is consistent with who they say that they are. You can surely change from one to another, but be honest and tell somebody when you've made those changes. And Look for honesty in others when you talk about things. It's not bad that when you were first starting out, you felt like you may have been more submissive and now you feel more dominant, or because of um, fears or trauma, maybe you presented initially as more dominant than what you really are. And as you settled into the lifestyle, you realized that you really would be happier and more complete identifying as submissive. And so things change over time, and that's perfectly okay. Oftentimes, it's good to establish yourself on a site like FetLife as exploring. And then, as you've done some exploring, you'll begin to add fetishes and interests and interactions and pictures and different things. Your feed will grow uh, along and along. It doesn't have to be initially this complete thing. But you can look on your activity feed and you can search all the way to when they joined FetLife. Oftentimes, if you met someone and they've been in the lifestyle and they say they've been in the lifestyle for 10 or 20 years and they don't have a FetLife that they can reactivate or show you from sometime in their past, that's somewhat of a red flag, because we have all had one at one time, or we all should have some type of resume, some type of something that we have shown, events that we've gone to, or things that we've gone to. Is really difficult to have nothing and to ask people or expect people just to trust you and take you at your word. For their safety, they shouldn't do it, and you shouldn't be expecting them to. And then vice versa. You shouldn't, no one should be expecting you to just take them at their word, to take them for who they're saying that they are. They should be able to show you. And a lot of time, people's Facebooks and Twitters and and Instagrams and things don't really accurately reflect much about the lifestyle, because a lot of people aren't super open in vanilla spaces with their involvement in kinky things. And so there are ways that you can look at Facebook and Instagram. You can go through pictures and interactions and things to see, perhaps if they tell you that they're single and that they're really married. um, you should just be honest with who you are, honest with whether you're ethically non-monogamous or whether you're unethically non-monogamous, whether you're cheating. you know Different people expect different things and are okay with different ethical stances. That's for you to decide. I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for this BDSM United podcast. You can find our naughty, not safe for work site, mastersaturn.com, or you can find our BDSM resources, educational content at bdsmunited.com. Thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I'll talk with you again soon.